In this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 things that you can do to increase the conversion rate of your Shopify store. Hey, my name is Ildebrando. I've been in e-commerce for 5 years now, mostly been dropshipping with Shopify in the US. I built over 30 stores in that time, did over 10,000 orders combined, did multiple six figures last year with a conversion rate of 4% or even higher on some smaller stores. Just before we start, if you want to increase the conversion rate of your Shopify store, but you really don't know where to start and you would rather have someone go through your funnel for you, then I got great news for you because I plan on starting a conversion rate optimization bureau that does store reviews. But before I build this service, I really want to build my reputation and really form relationships with as many e-commerce entrepreneurs as I can. So what I did is basically set up a Fiverr gig to test out, how much interest there is in this type of service, and I'm just trying to build up my reputation for that. So if you are interested in that, I offer this service on Fiverr for $5. What I would do is I give you recommendations for your conversion rate and give you actionable steps for that. So if you want a 4% conversion rate or higher quickly, then click on my Fiverr gig below. And let's get started. So the top 5 things to increase your conversion rate. So the things I'm going to be going over in this video are 5 different things. So those consist of brand identity, page structure, site speed, urgency and scarcity, and optimization for mobile and desktop. And in the end, I'm going to give you an extra tip as well. So for these 5 tips, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hoodie as an example. The hoodie is a website that basically sells hoodie blankets. The owner of that e-commerce store actually has a YouTube channel as well, Davey Fogarty. Great guy. Had a lot of golden nuggets that I got from him too. I will be using his store as an example. He did 300 million last year, big brand. So let's start. So first of all, brand identity. So brand identity basically consists of your fonts, colors, logo, and images on your store. And what you really want to do is that you want to have everything congruent. So everything has to fit nicely together. Now on the right hand side, you see the Udi website on mobile. And like you see the logo is set up nicely. You got the colors and the fonts, everything lines up nicely. So the most important thing for the brand identity is just congruency. Everything has to fit nicely together. The most important part too is that you convey a message that relates to your customer. So for example, the hoodie, for example, what they want to do is basically convey comfort, right? And I think they do a great job with this image, for example. Really shows comfort. And what is important too is everything has to make sense. So, for example, the logo of the hoodie, right? The hoodie makes sense because it's a hoodie, right? They left out the H. But let's say, for example, he took out one O and it would be the hoodie without the extra O. It wouldn't make sense right away that it's a blanket hoodie, right? So small stuff like that can really impact your conversion rate. Another thing too is what you want to do is your call to action or add to cart button. You always want to have a contrasting color to your logo and or your brand color. So for example, the hoodie is blue and he uses orange for his add to cart, right? Or his call to action right here. And later on you'll see that also on his add to cart he uses this color. So number 2 is page structure. And I made a nice video right here on the right side so that you can see the whole product page of the hoodie. So the page structure is basically the stacks of information on top of each other and the empty space in between. So, or in other words, the way that you stack information on top of each other. So what you want to do is inform your customer but not overwhelm them, right? So you want to have all the information that your customer needs to see right away available, but not overwhelm them. So I think the hoodie did a great job because what they did, if I scroll on top a bit more, you see detailed shipping info and care instructions. Now when you click on those tabs, it will actually expand and give the customer more information about that specific topic. And for the rest, the description is really clear. It's balanced. It has all the benefits. So yeah, that's very important. Inform your customer, but not overwhelm them. Also, everything has to be balanced and structured correctly. So if you take a look at the product page, you see that everything is stacked nicely on top of each other with some empty space in between. But not too much information. There's not too much information on the product page, right? It's just the bare minimum that you need for your customer to be informed enough so that he can make a buying decision, right? So another thing is benefits over features. So let me just pause. Let's go back. Pause the video. So yeah, benefits over features. Very important thing is that you do not cramp your whole description with a bunch of features without explaining the benefits that they have. I'd rather see a really short description that only mentions the benefits and has like the features, for example, of an, I don't know, like an iPhone, like the specs, for example, all the way below somewhere, or where someone can click through on a tab like they did here, instead of having that in your description, because that is not as important for making a buying decision. Now, the thing is, people have shorter and shorter attention span. So what you want to do on your product description too is get to the point as quickly as you can. And you want to always choose the quickest way to inform your customer. So most of the time, that's rather choosing, for example, GIFs, videos, or images to inform your customer, rather than choosing a long description or a long text form, right? If you have a bunch of paragraphs on your description, what I want you to do is, or what you can do to increase your conversion rate, is basically take those paragraphs and try and minimize the amount of text that those have, and put an image on top that basically displays the same information as that small sentence or couple sentences has, instead of having 3-4 paragraphs laid out after each other. So that's way better. All right, so next up, we got site speed. This is something that gets overlooked a lot, but it's actually the #1 way to increase your conversion rate overnight, because this can be done in a day, and it makes a huge difference for customer retention and your conversion rate. So what you want to do is head over to GT Metrics and/or Google PageSpeed Insights and check if your site, your store, is up to speed. What you want to aim for is a site loading speed of 3 seconds or lower. If it's any higher than that, you're gonna see a huge drop-off rate of customers that are just gonna leave your store because it just takes too long to load. So that's very important. And the way you can optimize your page speed is basically, I would recommend 2 ways. First of all, what I would do is compress all your images and use the correct sizing. So to compress your images, you can use something like imagecompressor.com. I would recommend using JPEG always over PNG, because that's just a smaller file size. And what I mean with using the correct size is basically your Shopify template or theme. Your Shopify theme basically has the frames, right? For the frames, for example, of your product image is a specific size. You want to find out what size that is on desktop and mobile, and basically choose desktop, because that's gonna probably be the biggest one, or definitely gonna be the biggest one, and go with that image size, right? If you have a theme where you can specify, for example, on your homepage, your page slides on both desktop and mobile, I would definitely do that. I would definitely recommend that, because that would also decrease your loading time. So what I mean with that is some themes have this option to basically put in an image for desktop and mobile separately. So yeah, that's about the compressing image. So, and the second thing that I would do is I would hire a developer on Fiverr. It usually costs between 20 and 50 bucks basically. And what they will do is they will just clean up your whole theme, basically, your whole theme coding. Now with Shopify 2.0, it's already pretty fast, but especially when you're using a lot of apps to render stuff in your product page, it can significantly have a negative effect on your loading speed. So it's always good to check. And if you see that your GT metrics grade, for example, is anything below a C, then I would definitely recommend hiring a developer. So yeah. Number 4 is urgency and scarcity. So customers buy now, not later. So yeah, if someone is not going to buy right now, they are probably leaving your store and they will probably never buy from you again. That's just the reality. That's just how it is. So what you want to do is basically put elements in place on your product page of urgency and or scarcity on both your product page and cart page. Now, the thing is, it really depends on your brand, niche, and your product, what will work and what doesn't work, and also what fits with your brand. So I think the Udi, for example, did a great job with this, where they have a message below the add to cart button: strike-through price will be discounted with code autumn, taking the end value to 70. The offer is limited and can end at any time, right? So that really makes the customer feel a sense of urgency to click through and make the buying decision now rather than later. So what I would recommend is just testing different apps and different offers. So here you also can see save 25, right? But anyway, I would recommend testing different apps and different offers. So a good couple of ways to implement this is basically have a stock level counter on your product page that shows like 2 to 3 left, for example, 2 3 left, or run a flash sale, have a timer, right? Be like this sale ends in 1 hour, for example, have a countdown timer there. Or on your cart page, you could also have a timer that says, hey, we have your cart reserved for you for the next 5 minutes. And then, yeah, then that way, right? There's a bunch of different apps. Just scroll through the Shopify App Store. There's a bunch of free ones too. So, but I would definitely recommend testing that. All right, so number 5. Optimize both desktop and mobile. Now, it is true that these days people are mostly buying on mobile, but it's still very important to optimize both. So especially your product and cart page are the most important ones to optimize. And now what happens a lot is that you'll actually optimize everything, both mobile and desktop. And then what happens is you'll download some apps like a review app, for example, or a stock counter app like I mentioned before. And what will happen is it will screw up your whole theme, or well, not screw up your whole theme, but what will happen is basically it will look good on either mobile or on desktop, but not on both. And you really want to make sure that stuff like that is just, optimized for both mobile and desktop. So definitely recommend doing a check there. Now, next up, this is the last one. So number extra. So happy customers. I think that is the most important thing that you can do to increase your conversion rate, is to just have a ton of happy customers. Now, especially reviews are very important. If you got 50 to 100 reviews or more, this just really conveys trust and really makes people buy a lot faster and therefore increasing your conversion rate. Now, it's also true that repeat customers and word of mouth customers actually go to your website with the intent of buying, and you already spent marketing costs on them, so it's just free purchase basically. And that's also something that just increases your conversion rate over the long term. I really think that is just the overall best way to increase the conversion rate. So last one. So check out my Fiverr gig in the description below. It's only $5 if you want to get a conversion rate of 4% or higher. What I'll do is I'll do a 15 to 30 minute review of your store and give you recommendations and actionable steps on what to do to increase your conversion rate. And like I mentioned before, I would love to open like a conversion rate optimization bureau, but before I do that, I just want to see how much interest is there in this type of service, and I just want to build up my reputation. So hope you enjoyed, hope this helped, and first YouTube video done. All right, bye guys.